Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel SK Tech. Today we are going to discuss about important concept in Java, that is array. Let us understand what is array. So suppose a class contains 50 students and we want to store their roll numbers. We need 50 separate variables like roll number 0, roll number 1, 2, 3, and like that we need to create the roll number 49, right? So these are 50 records. Now to store roll number into this variable we need another 50 statements, right? Imagine writing 100 statements just to store the roll number of the student. On the other hand, if we have a single variable which can represent all these 50 variables, it would be very useful to us. Such a variable is called an array. So basically, array represents a group of elements of a same data type, something like this. So we can create like int and then variable of the roll number and then square bracket equal to curly bracket starting and then ending, and here we can provide all these roll number in a single line. Don't worry about this statement. We will discuss more in detail. So basically, so it can store a group of element. So we can store a group of int values, something like this, or we can also store a group of float value or group of any other data type available in Java. But we cannot store this some int value and some float value or some string value inside this single types of array. Basically, this will store a similar types of data. For example, int type. So we can store only int type of the data, right? So let us understand types of the array available in Java. So arrays are generally categorized into two parts: single dimension array, or you can say 1D array. Second is multi-dimension array, that is nothing but the 2D array, 3D array, and so on. So let us discuss one by one. So first we are going to discuss about the single dimension array. So what is single dimension array? A one dimension or single dimension array represent a row or a column of element. For example, the marks obtained by a student in 5 different subjects can be represented by a single dimension array because these marks can be written as a row or a column. So something like this. So let's say we have a marks and the marks of the student, and is having 5 different marks. So we can store in a single variable like int, then variable name, and then square bracket equal to those values here. So basically here what we are doing, we are declaring the marks and initializing with the 5 element. So this is how we can create the array in Java. There are other different way also available. So let us see one by one how to create the array. So second way is like just declare the marks array like int marks and then square bracket terminate it here, and then allocate the memory for storing the 5 elements like marks variable same equal to new and then int and of the number of the elements. For example, we want to store the 5 elements, so we have given 5, right? So this two statement also can be combined like this. So int marks equal to new int and then provide the number of the element or number of the size of the array. So this is how we can create the array, basically single dimension array. So here we are creating the array and then providing the value also, but here we are just creating it and initializing the size of the array. So let us see how to do the program using this. So let's go to the IntelliJ IDE. Let's just create one simple Java programs like array1, and let's create main method. So let's first create the integer types of the array that we have seen in our diagram, right? So how we can create it? We have to create like int, then array name. Let's say give the name as array, ARR, then square bracket, space, and then you can provide directly value here itself. So like how 50, 60, 55, 67, or 70. So in this case, what will happen? Java is going to assign the size of the array automatically based on the number of the element that we have provided. So suppose this is the array and we want to display it in our console. How we can do it? So note that the important point in the array is, first is indexing is starting with the 0 in the array. Second is to insert the value or to get the value from the array, we have to always use the loop. Why is because if you are not going to use the loop, then you have to print the value like something like this. Sys out, you're going to provide like array name and then index of the array, for example starting with 0. So this is how it is going to print like this 0th index value, nothing but the 50. Similarly, if you want to print all 5 value, we have to do like this: 1 2 3 and 4. So this is how we are going to do. So if you run this program, it will print all these 5 value in the console. Yeah, so this is printing this 5 value. So if you are going to create the array like this and we are printing it with the 5 different statements, let's assume that it's having thousands of record and then you are going to write the thousands record. So basically there is no use of array in this case, right? We are simply writing that many of the statement to print that, for example. And this is the way, while inserting the record in all the 5 elements, we are going to write like marks 0, then the value, and then 1, then 2, second and fourth index. So in here we are storing the element on each index manually, right? So if you have created the array and you are storing the value like this, or you are getting the element like this, there is no use of array basically. So if you observe here, what is happening here, this is represent as 0th index, first index, second index, third index, fourth index. So what is changing here, the marks variable is not going to change. It is going to change the value 0 1 2 3 and 4, right? So instead of writing like this 5 statement, we can directly use the looping concept where we can get the index one by one and provide it here, then print it. So that's why I have mentioned like, to get the element or to print the element, we have to use the loop concept. Then only it is going to benefit for us. So let us see how we can use the how can you get the element from the array using the loop. So instead of writing this 5 statement, you can simply eliminate this, write simple for loop. So the syntax of the for loop is like initialization, let's say I equal to 0. Why we have provided 0? Because array indexing is starting with the 0 only. That is the important point that you have to remember. Then I is less than, how many elements are there? 5. So let's give equal to or less than equal to 5, because it is going to give till 4, right? 0 1 2 3 and 4, and then I plus plus. Let's start with the curly bracket and end this. Instead of 0, you can write like I. So this is the simplest way you can provide it using the loop, and then you can print it. Yeah, so you can see that it is printing all 5 elements. So let us understand another point concept here is, how can we create the other different types of the array. So similar to the integer, we can create the other different types array also, like float. So either we can create the array and declare it and initialize it, or just create it and provide the size of the array, and then you can store the element at the later point of time. We will see in the program how to store the element if you create like this. Similarly, for the character, you can create like this, or string, or any other data type available in Java. You can create the array like this or this. And also, if you have observed, we are creating like, for example, float array. So we are giving float, then variable name, then square bracket, then equal to, then starting curly bracket, ending curly bracket, and here we are providing the value. So this alternate way of creating this single dimension array is also this square bracket you can provide here, something like this. Similarly, for the other data type, like for example string or character or any other data type. So we have seen like how, if the array is created and provided the value at the time of creation only, how to get the value, right? Now let us see how to create the array and then store the element at the runtime from the console. So let's create another array and see the in action. So create a class called array2, the main methods. So let us see, we are going to provide some list of action here. So first we are going to do is like accept data from keyboard. Second operation that we are going to perform is like ask how many subjects. Third action we are going to perform is like going to create 1D or single dimension array with size, let's say n, means here we are going to provide the number of the element, and those number of the element we are going to initialize it, and then we are going to store the element, store elements into the array. And then let's say we are going to, let's minimize this first so it will be more visible. Then going to find the total marks. Let's say we are going to perform some operation, and then we are going to display total marks. And also let's say another operation like percentage. So these are the operations that we are going to perform in this program. So you have already familiar with how to accept the data from the keyword. I have already explained in my previous video, and I'm going to link those video links in this. Second thing is like, again we are going to ask how many subjects, again from the keyword only. Then we are going to create. So let's say how we can do it. To get the data from the keyword, we have seen like we can use buffer reader or scanner class, right? So let's say we are going to use buffer reader. Buffer reader br equal to, what should be the syntax, new buffer reader, and here we have to provide input stream reader, and then we have to provide like system.in, and then we need to, basically here we are missing something new. Then we have to provide what types of data we want to read. So let's write some statement like sysout and type like how many subjects, and this is going to print in the console. Then we will provide the value, and then we will store in some variable, let's say int n equal to, we have to provide integer dot parse in, because it is going to pass, because by default it is going to store the value as a ASCII character, right? So let's see, br dot read line. So this is the way of reading the data from the keyboard, right? Here we must be throwing some exception. Let's throw that. This we have already seen how to accept the data from the keyword. That is simply we are returning statement here. Then let's see how we can create the array. So we have seen like if you want to create the array as a integer type, here we have already seen how to create that integer. Either you have to provide here square bracket, or after the variable we have provided here now marks, and then new int, and let's provide the value that we have received from the keyboard. So here like n. Now to store the value in the this number of the array, we have to use the loop also, like how we have seen, like to get the value we are using the loop. Similarly we can use the loop for storing the element into the array at the runtime only. So let's create some for loop, and let's initialize it with the 0. Then I is less than of how many element we are going to store, that is we have provided here like n number of times, and then I plus plus, right? So let's write some statement here also, so it will be more visible to user. Let's say enter marks, and we can also provide like value also, let's say I, so it will be visible to, more visual basically. And then ith index we are going to store the value, so variable is marks, and then ith top index, like first time it will be 0, then 1 2 3, and then so on, and we are going to store those value here. So those value is going to read from the keyboard, so again we have to use this statement to get the element from the keyboard. So integer dot parse int, and the br dot read line, this is going to give the value, and then again it is going to print enter marks of the second value, then third, then fourth, and so on, right? Now let us see how to find the total marks. So let's write some statement here. Int, that is very simple math formula basically. Total, let's say it is having 0 initially. Now you have to write again for loop. Why? Because we need to calculate it all the element, right? So again we have to write this for statement. Let's say like this, and here we have to write total equal to total plus what are the value it is going to come. So that is nothing but the marks of ith. So it is going to return one by one, and then it is going to do the addition and going to store in the total variable basically. So this is also we can write like, because since both the same variable is used if, before and after the equal, so we can use something like total plus equal to and then marks. This we have seen how to do this. Once we get the element, we are going to display it. So display it is very simple. Just use that and just use that total. Next task we are going to perform is to find the percentage. How we can do the percentage? So simply, if you know percentage is going to store in some decimal format, so let's use the another type of variable. Let's say float percent equal to, let's write like total, then we have to divide like number of the marks, and then we simply convert it float. So this is something we are doing typecasting in the float types. We will discuss more about the typecasting in upcoming video. So this is the simple formula to get the percentage, and then let's print it. So how to print that? System dot out simply percentage. So let's write something like percentage equal to, then just concatenate percentage. Similarly here also let's write some statement, total marks. So that's it. So what we are doing here is, first we are accepting the data from the keyboard. So what are the data we are expecting? First is like how many subject that we want to store it. Earlier we have seen we have stored 5 elements here. Now we can store the dynamically n number of the elements. Then second, we are creating the array. Then third is storing the element using the again keyboard only, one by one. And then we are finding the total marks, and then we are displaying the total marks again, then finding the percentage, and then displaying the percentage. So let us run this program and see in action. Yes, so here it is displaying like how many subject. So let's write something like 5, then press enter. Then it is asking enter marks 0th. So let's say 10, then 1, let's say 20, 30, 40, and 50. So if you can see, it is automatically calculating the total marks and then percentage. So this is the way up to reading the data from the keyboard and storing the data in the array. So here we have created the array, and then we are storing the data in this array at the runtime, and then we are performing some operation and displaying it. So this is all about the single dimension array. We can write some another simple Java program to understand the single dimension array in the upcoming video. So in the next upcoming video, we are going to discuss about the array type, that is multi-dimensional array. So stay tuned. We'll meet you soon. Thank you.